Welcome to the summit. What is the wisdom of silence? And now I can introduce you to Gina Holland. Welcome, Gina.
Susan, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And you're a psychotherapist and you're also a co-director of Celebration of Being in the UK.
That's right.
And
yes.
yeah, and we'll be talking about this silence, the nature we are, the presence, the awareness, consciousness, whatever we call it. and you point people back to that, you point to that so people can realize that for themselves. And that's the wisdom of silence. It's going back here all the time. It's actually no words, it's just something you are already it, and it's just a matter of paying attention to it. Like,
yes.
Do you want to speak about the silence and the wisdom of silence?
Yes. So the way silence moves in me is it's quite dynamic. I'm busy mother, grandmother. I'm a psychotherapist. I do groups with Celebration of Being, men and women. And it's all about finding your true nature and seeing your true face. And anything that's blocking or getting in the way of that. So yeah, that's my main work.
Yeah. So the work is to kind of look through the storyteller, the commentator, their narrative selves, is looking through that and see that all that is actually a fabrication.
Yes. Yeah, and in my experience, in order to see through that, it needs to be met and acceptance. Yeah, so that the true face, the true feelings can be seen and known.
Yeah. So it's being honest with yourself, authentic, and also embracing everything that arises in your life, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And having and it's the silence and the presence that meets that in order to liberate and free up the story and the narrative, really.
Yeah, because it's like you are open to everything, including maybe the emotions that don't feel, contracted energies. So somehow they can be released in this presence or silence.
Exactly that, because it's like in our work, there's a lot of room for embodiment and to release stored emotions and any resistance and anything that's blocking people actually having a felt sense of their true nature and being able to see clearly.
Yeah, and that clarity, you could say, it's like there's just suddenly a more space, or it's more expanded feeling in the body, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a felt sense of peace and an inner knowing and a coming home. It's a full return to just resting as silence as this.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's very much like the presence is also in the present moment, or it's here and now.
Yeah. It's very, very much in the here and now. Yeah. And like I say, that can also be dynamic. I can be talking from my own experience. It's like I can be busy during the day and attending to tasks and cooking and babysitting and working, but still not move from that place of silence, of being.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's what we always are, because it's also, you could say, it's also existence. It's that, because at night when we sleep, we are naturally silent. It's all silence.
Always there.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then when we dream, there's a little more activity. The mind is making up stories, dream stories. And when we awake, suddenly they're all this three-dimensional. So it's, but that three-dimensional world, this life, when we awake, that is also all being held in this silence, all being embraced.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really beautiful description, and I just really feel your passion, Susan. We're trying to find the words to describe this.
Yeah. And it's hard, right? And that's why, like, I know Ramana Maharaj said, the highest teaching is silence, or he liked to just be silent. So there is something about just, words won't really take you anywhere. At the same time, they can point to that silence.
Exactly. And it's kind of, there's a resonance, there's a knowing when you're with somebody that's rooted in that. And that was what really helped me to get established more and more in silence, was being with people that was rooted and living from that place. I remember when I very first sat with a satsang teacher, and it was a man, and I sat there and told him my story, and he said, and you know nothing's ever happened, right? And it kind of blew my mind. It's like, well, you know, I've just laid my story at your feet and you're telling me that nothing's ever happened. But something in me absolutely knew what he was pointing to. And my mind just couldn't get that. So it was like, it was just a really direct teaching for me. Yeah, and of course the narrative and the stories and the woundings and the issues, they all come from that place and in that place. But yeah, that was profound.
Yeah. And that is also, that's the beauty of sharing with one another, or being present for one another, because then, like your experience of, you know, you had a revelation being with this man, and that's, sometimes we can feel a little lost alone too, and we can't get out of our own story, or
and in the work we do, it's like it's the connection, it's the field, it's the mystery that holds it all, and we're very much guided by that, and it's the silence that's holding all of that, that's permeating. And like you just tried to describe, it's really hard to find words that point to this, but there's a knowing, there's a felt sense when you're with somebody that's rooted.
It's almost like, it's because everything is illuminated by what we are, this mystery, and that's why it has to be the individual that somehow can sense that. It's like an inward journey, and we can get help from the outside, but it's really something you yourself have to know and realize. It can't be taught as such.
No, it really can't be taught. And a lot of our work is about unlearning what we've been taught, to make more space, to be more vast, rather than in the conceptual mind about what we think we know and what we've been taught, and the misunderstandings that we've taken on as children. That get really established and confirmed if you deeply believe that. So but for me, I've always initially needed another to just get that, like you say, that sense of looking in somebody's eyes, and that knowing that there's something so much more than this that we live in. And for me, it was definitely nose up.
And many times, I think everyone, they are that space all the time. So everyone has, somehow they do sense it, and they know they are, but it's just, overlooked all the time because of the distractions in business, especially of the mind. And so it's
yes. And I find in life, whatever it is that we're looking for, whatever we're searching for on the outside, we're all wanting the same thing. We're all wanting that feeling of being met and feeling peace and feeling love and feeling joy and acceptance. And it's that can't be got, because that's who we are. But we so often identify with the stories, the issues, the negative, self-talk. So that gets kind of lost. But it's so our work is very much about clearing the space. We do a lot of clearing, a lot of catharsis, a lot of letting the energy become unstuck, so that people can get a really true sense of their self and the vastness and the spaciousness.
yeah.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's also, people will, be like, okay, it's the body. Okay, let me sense being here in the moment.
Mm.
It's about how do I do that? Well, I know but if I really want to be present and available, then all right, the body, how does my body feel like?
Yeah, exactly.
And what are the sounds? It's like really intimate, you could say.
It is intimate. It's intimacy with all life.
Yeah. And then the mind will always come and comment on what you experience or what you sense, right? I'm in my body. Oh, I sense this. And so it's interesting, because all these words and thoughts will always follow.
Yeah.
But that's okay too. It's just not to identify with them, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely okay, because the mind also wants to rest.
Yeah. And that's why it feels so good to sleep at night, deep sleep, because everything is resting. The body is resting, the mind is resting, everything is just. So I can see how you can't do much without good sleep for too long. It's like the body is, we are recharged, basically, right? Yeah. And in the daytime, I mean, it's fine, all this busyness too, because as you also said, you are the silence in the business. So it's just, you don't have to grasp onto anything or resist anything. That's what is the troublemaking, you could say, or what takes us out of the moment, is always either grasping for something or resisting something. And that's
beautifully put. Yeah, that's beautifully put. Yeah, and in our culture and society and the way that majority of people have been raised, we've been kind of trained and conditioned to look for the good stuff and kind of push away anything that's classed as negative, like anger or sadness or even vulnerability. People shy away from vulnerability. But it's actually in allowing that and meeting that and having acceptance around these feelings, because they're on their way out. They're always on their way out. But there's a contraction. We tell ourselves a story about it, and when that happens for me, I'm not here. I've left the building, and what this part of me really wants is for me to be fully here, to meet all of this from this silence, from this presence, from this stillness. Yeah. Without the resistance and the arguing, really, with no, it should be like that or it shouldn't be like that. Just this is as it is. Yeah, there's no real good or bad. It's just energy, just emotions moving.
Yeah. As the energy in motion, and they come and go. And I also, there was some science about it's the actual feeling or emotion of something, like, for example, anger. It's just like actually 90 seconds, the actual emotion, but people can hold on to it for 10 years, it's
exactly. exactly. And the actual feeling is quite fleeting. And if you're prepared to totally sit in that, you couldn't stay in it for that long, because it dissipates, it liberates when you bring presence and stillness to whatever emotion, even the good stuff, so-called good stuff, it's still fleeting. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more difficult emotions, like grief, when we look at somebody who's dear to us, and or other become homeless, or whatever it is, it's like that. Those feelings that arise, we can be present with them, although they feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like it doesn't help to run away either, because you can't.
No, and it's totally real. When somebody's grieving, when somebody's feeling really deep emotion, it's totally real. And yeah, maybe not so easy to sit with and to be with, and with different life circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just reality, and it's part of being a human.
Yeah. Yes. It is. It is.
And that's the human being, right? It's the humanness, all this that happens in life. And then the being, we are being with that humanness.
I mean, I'm graced to be blessed with many, many grandchildren, and I've had the opportunity to see them at all different ages and all different stages. And same for me, I was a young grandmother. I've got a grandson that's 21. And just seeing all their different ages and the way they evolve, and the way they get more into the doing world than the being world. And it's just so beautiful to witness, and how they are with their emotions. And you know, when they're angry from their hair to their toes, and then they're done. They'll be skipping off, and you know, it just moves through them so naturally. And then you see, as they grow older and older, and they get more conditioned and more closed down, and start to tell themselves stories about themselves, and take on misunderstandings about themselves. So it's been a real teaching and a real blessing for me. It's one of my deepest pleasures, being a grandmother.
Yeah. And you can't really do much about it. It's almost like that's part of being the human.
Exactly that. That is the blessing of being a human. And you watch them lose touch with their natural self, and there's sadness in that for me. But then there's the whole opportunity to do the full return and come back.
Yeah. But it seems like a lot of people miss that opportunity, or it's like we get lost forever, or I don't know if we get lost, because we're being humans, and I guess it's okay too. I don't know. It seems like it would be beautiful if everyone could know the true nature, the depth of.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really, really interesting one, because what I've seen over and over is the places that people have got wounded, myself included, is where the gold and where the gifts and where the life stream moves. It kind of becomes our focus. So it's all divine. It's hard to see it when you're in it, and when you're growing up and you're feeling the trauma and the pain, and that gets repeated over and over. But yeah, as an elder now, I can absolutely see that this was the plan, and the places that I got hurt and wounded have really, really served me. And that's where I've grown the most. And that's where the gold is, in the gifts, and the offering service to the world comes in.
Yeah. So you can see it in hindsight, kind of.
Yeah. Not so easy when you're in it and keep revisiting yeah, but once the clarity and the clear seeing comes, and it's like, oh my God, that is divine. That is an absolute mystery.
Yeah. Although for some people, when they're facing a terminal illness, for example, then it's like, then it's maybe hard to look at it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I wouldn't know how to comment on that because I've not been in that situation, but I imagine that's completely a whole different ball game, people that are in there.
Yeah. But it's life is life, right? It's everything, the whole spectrum, and we will all face sickness and death. We cannot avoid that.
No.
So it's and who knows why it's like that, but that's how it is.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's so much unknown. We can tell kind of stories about what's going to happen also after we die, and but we don't. There's so much we just don't know. And it's part of. It's just being humble, I guess. Like just accept that's how it is, and we'll never really know why we're here and where we're going to go. And
no, I heard an elderly lady, I can't remember her name, but she was very wise, and she said that she set out to discover the mystery of life, and at the end of her life, what she discovered is it's a mystery.
yeah.
No answers. She had none.
Yeah.
And that really spoke to me because it's a constant unfolding. There's so much that we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just it's actually okay not to know, right? We don't have to know, really.
No. Yeah. And it's, you know, life gets infinitely more precious. It's like, you know, with age and with wisdom and with clarity and with clear seeing, it's like every day is, oh my God, how amazing this unfolding, and yeah, this mystery.
Yeah, and it's also it's love, isn't it? It's like it's grace, or it's yeah,
it's grace, it's love. Yeah. It's the radiance, the clear seeings. Yeah, stunning. And so ordinary as well.
Yeah, that's it's ordinary. It's just this, what is. So that is very ordinary, and there's nothing hidden as such, although it seems like a mystery, and but there's nothing hidden either.
No. Yeah, I really get a felt sense just being with you, Susan, and chatting and listening and talking.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. What's your email? Oh, sorry. What's your website?
Website is celebrationofbeing.co.uk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's incredible rite of passage work. It's something we're very much lost in our culture, and something that is still very, very much needed. Just letting go of the past and what's gone before, and yeah, stepping into true nature, your original face.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, it's like with people that come to participate in the groups, we've got nothing to add. We see everybody as whole and perfect. It's just busting the misunderstandings and the stories and the things they tell themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, so the original face, I always like that expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you again. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Very, very lovely speaking to you. So much love. Take care. Thank you.